macOS versus Windows. The UX debate heats up again. Nope, this one doesn't have anything to do with AI, just straight up functionality and looks. Olier, aka Ultralinks, kicked this off. This is where I picked this up over on X. He says, I use Windows every day and it's still shockingly bad compared to Mac. It's actually annoying. UX is levels apart. You remember the old Mac versus PC ads? I'm not even going to play it because we don't need to get into it. This is like the modern day thing here. We don't have companies really framing how we perceive things quite as much as just social media. People just let it all hang out and they'll say what their actual experience is, and then people can hash it out and you can watch. Someone named Jennifer responded and they said, people with this kind of statements have clearly never owned a fully spec'd PC with, let's say, this NVIDIA RTX 4080 and superior hardware. They're comparing their M4 Mac with like a $400 Acer. I use a PC for work, really crappy PC, then I use a monster of a PC like $3,000 for gaming. In personal use, since the beginning of this year, coming from a lifetime using macOS, I was shockingly surprised to see how good Windows 11 Pro is when you have great hardware. TLDR, compare apples to apples and be open to options. Options don't hurt you, options benefit the consumer, we all win. I'm gonna show you Olier's response in a second because it's just funny. But I do wanna say, I think ultimately I really actually agree with Jennifer here that options are good. Options let people choose. And in that way we have competition, right? That's what that really means. And then people get to sort of let their dollars speak for themselves and shape the market however it should be shaped. And if you have a good product, then obviously as a company, you're going to get more dollars spent your direction. However, here was Olier's reply, right? He shows just a box with the 4080 there, and it's funny. A lot of people are like, no, I have a lot of experience doing PC stuff, you know, custom built stuff, and I still like macOS, not because I'm a fanboy. Like, here's a dude who actually uses Linux at work, but he still feels like macOS is a much better experience. Everyone's in sort of a bubble that reinforces itself to a little extent here. So I think mostly what this exchange goes to show, and exchanges like this, and sometimes I've gotten into stuff like this myself, is that we all tend to assume that our experience almost matters more than other people's experiences out there, and that we just happen to know more somehow. Like, we feel like we've formed the ultimate definitive opinion about something. And I know, as somebody who talks about my experiences with tech stuff a lot on here, I can tell you how I've used something or what I've found valuable or disliked about something, but that doesn't mean that everybody is going to have a mirror experience and also dislike the same things or find valuable the same things, because we all have different experiences. So like on the gaming side of things, you know, everyone who games on a PC loves gaming on a PC and probably would be less happy, let's be honest, moving over to the Mac side of things for gaming at the moment under the current circumstances, right? So it depends on the silo that matters to you. It's actually been quite a while since I've spent real meaningful time in the PC side of things in the Windows environment. Like a couple years ago, HP sent me a gaming laptop. I checked it out. You know, for what it was, okay. But when it gets into things like workflows and file management and just the selection of apps and the way the apps look and work and how they interact and work with all the different devices that I've put into my life. True, I baked in like AirPods and an iPhone and an iPad and a Mac and all that stuff. So I'm going to be used to the things that I'm used to. But I mean, I'm probably with the 90% of users who were surveyed in the user experience report in 2023 that do find Mac's interface easier to navigate. And you can compare the OS all day long, and you can even like one more than the other all day long. But on the ecosystem side of things, Apple has that pretty locked up when it comes to, you know, Windows and what devices that lives on and what devices those devices interact with, and Macs, and the same thing, the devices that the Macs work with, whether they're Apple devices or third-party accessories, and so on. So I kind of feel like, okay, and this is just my subjective opinion, but I'm putting this out there because I want to hear your opinions. And I'm not even saying I'm right and anyone else is right or wrong or whatever. Like, use the stuff that you like. That's the rule, right? That works good for you. I feel like using macOS is kind of like driving a Tesla for me. It's very streamlined. And back on the PC side of things, it feels more like going back to a manual in many ways. Windows has been a staple in many workplaces for many years, especially for like non-creative jobs, quote unquote. Whereas the Mac Apple traditionally has leaned heavily into the creative sphere, whether that's photography, videography, design stuff. And I admit I came from the design world. So yeah, I mean, the whole Apple aesthetic and everything that I'm used to and the apps that I got used to, the workflow and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I went down that rabbit hole basically since college, never looked back. So a couple things. Let me know your take on this exchange, I guess, between Olier and Jennifer. We don't have to be mean, but just, which way do you lean, right, on the Windows versus the Mac side of things, just the user experience, okay? Let's kind of limit the discussion mostly to the user experience. And then just how do you feel in general about should you revisit whatever it is that you're used to, what the other side has to offer? What would it take to get you out of the setup that you're already in? I'm so sunk into, in terms of cost and stuff, the Apple ecosystem. It would actually be quite hard unless the company's like, Chris, we're going to parachute in a replacement for all your stuff so you can try it out. Let us know what you think. Outside of something like that, I'm not just stuck is the wrong word. I like the Apple ecosystem, so I'm happy to be in it with its amenities, right? Is it a gilded cage? That's my question for you. Give me some extra perspective, right, from outside of my office.